Well, greetings everybody. Welcome back to another collection pickup that I got. And I got something unbelievable. Um, a pretty rare iPad if you ask me. One that is pretty old now, but also was very powerful for its time, and it is still very powerful. The iPad Pro 2016, 9.7 inch, rose gold, 32 gig. You know it's an iPad Pro, not an iPad Air 2. It's got these, it's got the camera, you got the dual speakers, rose gold color, and bam, it's on iOS 9, just like that. There we go, man. I'm actually using this as my main iPad right now. 9.3.2, 32 gig. This is an amazing iPad. Um, this iPad is a beast. And Yeah, I literally upgraded from the iPad Air 4 to this iPad, and it is an amazing upgrade. I love it. Um, and It is an amazing iPad. But all jokes aside, um, so yeah, so these are very hard to come by because for years I've been hunting down one that's not brand new because the problem is I want to take gamble on brand new, old, sealed iOS devices because sometimes people get ripped off. Sometimes they're really either refurbished or resealed and have already been used, or it could be brand new, and it just has a bad battery, and then it costs more money to get it replaced, and something could go wrong. There could be failure, so I usually don't take that gamble. Um, so I mean, when I look for rare older devices on either their original iOS or a not original but upgradable version of iOS. Typically, I go under used because I want to risk there being something wrong. Um, but basically, this, I found this on eBay under a generic seller. It had stickers all over the screen. It had stickers on the back. There's still some residue there, and basically an electronics reseller. And I was a bit skeptical at first that it was actually running iOS 9, but it was $123 plus tax and shipping and whatever. And I did message the seller, and I also saw a sticker that said version 9.3.2, so I was pretty confident. And I did message the seller, and they said that it will be on iOS 9, and sure enough, this is what we got. And I got a steal of a deal of this. This is the only iPad Pro 9.7 inch from 2016 I found on eBay running iOS 9 that isn't brand new. Even the brand new ones I was looking up and on the GSX website, and yeah, they said they were rocking iOS 10 or 11. So like even the brand new ones didn't have iOS 9. So these are basically non-existent almost. And I found one. This is the newest addition to my collection, and probably one of the last additions to my collection for a few weeks. I'll talk about that in my next video. But since we just hit 100 subscribers, um, and um, and it's amazing how far this channel has came. I originally wanted it to be a football and sports channel, but they weren't getting the views. It wasn't living up to the hype. So I made it a tech channel, and it succeeded. And I got now 100 subs, and I'll talk about it in my next video. But there we go. But anyway, I digress. So I now have the iPad Pro 9.7 in my collection on iOS 9. I've been hunting one of these down for a while, and I finally found one. Since these are very hard to come by nowadays. And yeah, that was probably the only iPad Pro 9.7 running iOS 9 that I found on eBay. And there we go. So, the history with this iPad, it came out in 2016 as the best iPad at another time. It was super fast. I remember playing around with it at the Apple Store. And a lot of people were still rocking like iPad 2s, 3s, 4s, right, at the time. And I don't know why, because, those things were invariably slow. But then I was literally baffled why people were still rocking those old iPads when But I mean, I'm on the iPad Air 2, iPad Pro 9.7, right? Incredibly fast, and it was supported from iOS 9 to iOS 16, which is literally unheard of. Like, this is one of the longest supported devices ever. And it just ended support. I don't have one on iOS 16. I might get one on iOS 16 for shits and giggles. We'll see. I plan on getting an iPad 9th generation that will run iOS 16 for shits and giggles. Maybe compare these two. But basically, but yeah, these are very hard to come by. But yeah, but it came out 2016 after the 12.9-inch first gen in late 2015, and I was halfway through middle school then when this came out. I was like 13, 14 years old, and I remember when this came out alongside the iPhone SE, and I was stuck with the iPhone 5C at the point, and I really wanted one of these. But I had to wait until 2017 to get the iPad Air 2 as my first iPad, which I no longer have, and then the iPhone 7. So, basically, but here it is. And here it is, and a really cool iPad, and it came out with the A9X chip, really fast. This was a powerhouse for a very long time, and it came in 32, 128, or 256 gigs flavors of storage, yeah. And even though, yeah, this wasn't a very popular iPad, I don't think. It was definitely a beast. Super fast. I'm baffled by why not many people bought this one. But a super powerhouse. And I did manage to get some apps in it because iOS 9 app support, unlike iOS 8 and below, is actually a lot better. There's a lot more support. But iOS 7 and 8 are a lot more limited, and then iOS 6 and below is basically killed. So they literally killed the App Store not that long ago. I made a video on that. But this is a really cool device, and there aren't too many of these out there. These are hard to come by on iOS 9. I mean, and I'm obviously definitely not going to update it. But if I go to see, this is running 9.3.2 to confirm there, just a 32 gig. Now, if I go into software update, just for curiosity, I'm kind of curious what it will bring up. If I can literally, I'm obviously not going to, but if I could update it to iOS 16 right now, would I be able to over the air? Don't know. I'm obviously not going to, but really, yeah, I got a really good deal on this iPad. As I said, it was only about $130. But the only problem with it is there really isn't any problems. But the seller said that it just has a little bit of a pink tint around the border. But I mean, I have no problem with that. You can barely see it at all, if at all. So, but it's in really good condition. There are just a few faint scratches. The back, it had a lot of stickers on the front and back. Some sellers are like that. But I'm very happy I have one of these. And I've came a long way with getting rare iOS devices on their legacy iOS versions. Like, I almost have every iPad. I just need the iPad first generation on iOS 3, which was a pain to find, and I have that one coming still. And then I just need an iPad mini first gen on iOS 6. And then I have everything from the original to the Pro 9.7 on its original iOS, basically. But yeah, a really cool iPad. This is maybe my favorite Apple device in my collection now. Let's just run a few games and stuff. Let's run, this is one of my favorites growing up, Geometry Dash, and it works totally fine. It's a really fun game. I'll sign there. But, yeah, and it had a nice Jupyter background. I could technically get music on this, of course, but I just haven't had time to connect it to iTunes yet. Also, Flappy Dunk. I remember playing this in 9th and 10th grade all the time. Really fun game. And Temple Run, of course. So sadly, the NFL app doesn't work anymore. It'll just crash. YouTube doesn't work anymore. It will just say not ready. If I get in dark mode, it still won't work. Geekbench 4 does work though. There are the stats right there. But yeah, let's see the Broncos app. Does work. So I was able to get some apps on here, and pretty cool apps that don't exist anymore that existed in iOS 9. I don't think you get news anymore. I don't think you get photo booth for videos anymore. Those have been replaced. And then Game Center and iCloud Drive, I don't think exists anymore either. And I don't think like Tips exists anymore. Find Friends, Find iPhone doesn't exist anymore. So I mean, a lot of apps that don't really, exist anymore since like iOS 13, I think. But basically, that is a demo of a very rare iPad here. And basically, this is the iPad. As I said, the iPad Air 2 might rival this because they're very similar. But this is the iPad that basically started the modern era of Apple, basically. I feel like, I know a lot of people think that like iOS 7 and the iPhone 5S and iPad Air was the real start. But I think like the iPhone 6S, iPad Pro, iOS 9 was like the real start of the more modern day Apple, because just a year later you had the iPhone 10 announced, and then 2 years later you had the first iPad with no home button, iPad Pro. They came out in fall 2018, and then more people started getting the iPhone with on the notch, the iPhone 10 and later, and then more people started getting budget iPads and premium iPads with no home button. But basically, this is what really started it all. The biggest transition period for Apple, I think, was like the 2016, 2017 timeframe. Obviously, 2017, when the iPhone 10 came out, was the biggest transition for iPhone since iPhone, basically. But for iPad, I think this was the one, the first iPad Pro, basically. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of make a very loyal video, and another legacy device I have in my collection. And until then, and until my next video, peace out, everybody.